it's very chilled today. I thought we'd be very chilled out, but we're still going to do some kind of deep release work, particularly working through the hip flexors, but also it's kind of nice to just relax, and it's quite warm as well. So get some bolsters or some cushions or whatever you've got, and we're going to relax into child's pose over cushions and bolsters. I want you to kind of feel supported. So if you've got anything like this, have your knees quite wide, kind of snuggle it into yourself, and then just lie down on top of it and turn your head to one side. So I've just got my bolster here, so you can use cushions. If you don't have anything, you don't need to lie over something. You can just do your normal child's pose if you want to. But then when you get there, I want you to just take some really deep breaths. So just allow your body to sink down. And you can have your arms wherever's comfortable. I kind of like mine reaching forwards. Some people like to kind of hug around the bolster or the cushions, or bring their arms alongside, just wherever feels good to you. And then when you're ready, turn your head the other way. And again, just relaxing down here. So we've just turned our head the other way to allow your neck to release equally on both sides. Each time you exhale, imagine that you're sinking down, like you're sinking into your cushions or your bolster. You can bolster yourself up as high as you like. I just kind of like one bolster, but you could get a whole stack of cushions and have it really high so that you can just kind of lie over it. Or even like lie over the seat of your couch, just something to kind of really support you and just allow you to relax in a different position to, lying down flat on your back. Just a couple more breaths here. And then just slowly come on up. And just take your cushions, your bolster, whatever you're using, and just pop it to the side for now. I'm going to come back to that later on. We're going to come onto all fours now. So come onto your hands and knees. And we're going to do our little cat-cow here. So when you're ready, you're just going to tuck your bottom under and round through your spine, letting your head move last of all. And then go the other way, stick your bottom out. Again, rolling through your spine, letting your head move. So with this, we're just using this to release, to relax. So move with whatever breath pattern feels good to you. And you can go as quickly or as slowly as you like. One more in each position here. And then as you come through centre this time, just pause there for a moment and then take your bottom back towards your heels, back into that child's pose again and reaching your arms forwards. Making sure you've got enough space in front of you, we're going to go from this child's pose into that little baby cobra position. So check there's enough space between your hands, and on your next in-breath, start to come up. Travelling through all fours, lowering your hips towards the floor, lifting your head and your chest. Exhale as you go back into that child's pose. Go again when you're ready, inhaling as you come forwards and exhaling as you go back. Remember, you don't have to come all the way forwards, you can just go from all fours to child's pose if that feels better for you. I kind of really like this little bit of extension. I like that stretch down the front line of your body. So maybe you can find that stretch all the way from your jaw, all the way down. It goes right down past your belly button, doesn't it? All the way down the front. Let's do one more. And then as you go back into child's pose this time, just pause again there. We're going to come all the way down onto our front this time, so make your way down onto your front. And we're going to have our hands just down the side of the mat. Pubic bone anchored, tailbone slightly tucked to give us some length in that lower back. We're going to do a little bit of back extension. So on an in-breath, press your hands into the floor and lift your head and your chest away from the floor. Exhale as you lower back down. Go again when you're ready, inhaling to lift and exhaling to lower. Try and keep that pubic bone anchored, that tailbone tucked to keep some length in your lower back. Otherwise your pelvis tries to tip the other way and it starts to make that lower back really short and tight. I like to have my legs a little bit wider, squeezing together, I feel like it's not enough space. For my pelvis, I like to have a bit more room. Really nice. And as you come up this time, we're going to hold it up, so don't come up too high, just to where it feels okay for you. And then we're going to tilt our ear down towards our shoulder, and then we're going to drop our chin to our chest and roll your head over to the opposite shoulder. Going again, tilt your chin to your chest, roll your head over to your shoulder, and again roll. One more time, roll. Bring your head back in through centre, and we're going to lower all the way down. Bring your hands just in front of your forehead and just rest your head down onto your hands here. Maybe just start to gently rock your hips side to side, just freeing off your lower back, making sure that there's no gripping, there's no tension and tightness there. So just a little gentle rock side to side. Nice. So from here, we're going to start to find some space and some length through the front of the hips and thighs. We're going to go into our quad stretch. So bending one knee, can you reach your hand back and see if you can grab your ankle here? I want you to notice how this quad stretch feels. So as always, we notice whether there's a big space under the front of that hip. So have you had to kind of lift your bottom to get hold of your leg? So notice if there's a big space first. And then notice if you've had to take your knee out to the side to get hold of your ankle. Just notice how comfortable and how easy it is to get into this position. Because we're going to come back to this quad stretch later on, and I just want you to notice how it feels now and how it feels later, so we can kind of compare. I'm going to stay here for a few more breaths. And then releasing that leg. Let's try the other side. So bringing the other leg in. And can you reach your ankle? Remember, if you're super tight, you can always use your strap. You can't quite reach your ankle. And again, let's notice, is there a big space under the hip bone on that side? Have we had to kind of lift our bottom up to reach our ankle? Have you had to take your knee out to the side? And just how comfortable does it feel? As always, we're just taking deep breaths, trying to find as much softness as we can in each position and trying to release any tension. A couple more breaths here. And then when you're ready, just releasing that leg long. And again, just gently rock your hips side to side, just to free off any tension. So we're going to bolster our pelvis now. We're going to try and release the front of the hips. So it's nicer using a rolled up towel because it's softer, but you can also use your half dome if you want to. I'm going to be using my towel today because I'm being kind to myself today. So a rolled up towel or half dome, and then we're going to lie on it so that our hip bones are just on the towel and our pubic bone is just off. So your pelvis is going to tip backwards, yeah? So it takes sometimes a little bit of shuffling to get into position. So hip bones are lifted up away from the floor on your towel, and pubic bone is aiming down towards the floor. And then you can either be on your elbows or you can come down and rest your forehead on your hands. Either of those are fine. And all the time you're thinking pubic bone down towards the floor. Again, letting it kind of sink down. And you can feel how the front of your hips is getting a little bit of a stretch. It's getting a little bit of an opening here. And all you need to do is breathe and relax. So like I say, it's a little bit kinder on the towel because your half dome is a little bit hard, and just kind of depending on your body proportions and where everything is. Sometimes I find that the half dome presses on my bladder and makes me feel like I really need to go to the loo. A towel is much nice. Good. I'm going to stay here for a few more breaths. So you could stay in this position for as long as you wanted to. The longer you're here, the better release you're going to get. But obviously, when we're doing it in a session, we don't want to spend half an hour in one position. So we're just going to stay here for just a few more breaths. And then again, we're going to push ourselves up and back to find that child's pose. Kind of the opposite of opening out the hips. Now we're taking it into that deep hip bend, that deep hip flexion. So moving your towel or your half dome out of the way, we're going to come back down onto our front again. Hands are going to come under your forehead again. And we're going to do the inner thigh release this time. So we're going to bend one knee and slide the knee out along the floor. Out to the side. Again, we're going to just notice if we've had to really twist our pelvis to bring the knee out to the side. So is there a real big space under this hip? Or is it quite close down to the floor? And just taking those deep breaths, and with each exhale, imagining that your body's sinking down into the floor. We're going to straighten out that leg that's bent, so just straighten that leg out. See how it feels with a straight leg. few more breaths here. And then when you're ready, just gently bend that leg back in and bring the leg all the way back in. Taking a moment to rock again your hips side to side just to free off your low back. And then we're going to do the same on the other side. So bending the other knee out this time. Slide the knee along the floor. Noticing if it's different on this side. Is there a big space under the hip? Is it not too big on this side? Just notice. Good. And then again, straightening out that bent leg. Couple more breaths. And then bending that knee in, bring that leg all the way back in. And we're going to find child's pose again. So push yourself up and back. Find that child's pose position. And hold there. We're going to walk our hands to one side. So walk your hands as far as you can to one side. Still in that child's pose. See how it changes the stretch. You can kind of feel one side of your body really stretching and lengthening. Breathing into that lengthened side. Try and take as big a breath as you can here. Using the expansion of the rib cage to give us even more release and stretch. And then when you're ready, walking your hands in through centre and take them over to the other side. Same thing. The hands to the side, hold here and take those deep breaths. Good. When you're ready, walk your hands back in through centre and slowly come on up. So we're going to go over onto our back next. So make your way over onto your back. And we're just going to pause here for a moment, letting our spine settle into the floor. So rolling your chest and your shoulders open, letting the back of your rib cage sink down to the floor, anchoring your pelvis. Let's take some deep breaths here. Good. Okay. So we're going to bolster our pelvis again in this position. So you can again choose whether you want to use your half dome or your rolled up towel. I am going to use my half dome for this one, just for a change. So you can use your half dome in either way. I'm going to have mine flat side up rounded side down, because that's going to allow my pelvis to tilt back a little bit more. You can absolutely do it that way, but I just find that I slide off when it's that way. And if you've got a towel, it really doesn't matter. But you're going to pop it under your pelvis, and we're letting the pelvis tilt towards us, yeah? So if you've got your pelvis that way, either way is fine. I just find that slide off. So pelvis is going to tilt towards you so that your hip bones are lower than your pubic bone, yeah, like a ski slope. Imagine your pelvis is a little bit like a ski slope. I'm going to just hold here for a few breaths. So it's a little bit like when we do our spine curl and we start to tilt the pelvis out and we unroll it up. And again, we're trying to open out the hips, the front of those hips. And then we're going to see if we can keep that pelvis tilted towards us. Can you bring your knees in towards your chest and take hold of one knee? And then can you straighten your other leg up towards the sky? And we're going to super slowly lower that straight leg down towards the floor. It's not going to come all the way down, just lower it to where you can still keep your pelvis tilting towards you. If your pelvis starts to tilt away, you've gone too low. So how low can you bring this leg without it taking the pelvis with it? And then when you found that position, we're going to do that little waggle, that little side to side movement of that long leg. So you've got one knee drawn into your chest, the other leg is out long, and we're just gently waggling that leg side to side. I'm sliding off my bolster already. Good. And then we're going to gently bring that leg in. Ooh, I'm off my bolster. Get back on your bolster if you need to. Find that tilted pelvis again, both knees in towards you. We're going to do the same on the other side. Holding your other knee this time, straighten the leg up towards the sky and then start to lower it. Again, seeing how low you can go without changing the position of your pelvis. And it might be completely different on this side. See where you can get to. And then again, hold and just do that little side to side waggle. Good. So again, we're trying to free off the hip flexors, the front of the hip. Good. Alright, and then bring that knee into your chest again. Hold here, both knees in towards you, pelvis tilting back. I'm going to do it again. Go back to your first leg, straighten that leg up towards the sky. Lower that leg down, take it as far down as you can without the pelvis shifting. And maybe you can get a little bit lower this time. Maybe you can't remember, that's okay. And then we're going to hold here. We're not going to waggle this time, we're just going to hold. I'm going to take a couple of deep breaths and let's see if we can drop that leg any further without the pelvis going. And again, just hold for a couple of breaths. So we're trying to keep the pelvis tilted back towards us, so pubic bone is higher than hip bone, and we're trying to see if we can drop that leg. When you're ready, bring that knee in towards you. Adjust your half dome if you keep losing it. Other side again. Straighten the leg up towards the sky and lower it down. How far can you take it without the pelvis? And we're not going to waggle, we're just again going to hold. And see if we can lower that leg any further without it taking your pelvis with it. Good. And then when you're ready, bring that knee back in. And you're going to get rid of your half down. I just slithered off mine anyway. Get rid of your half down, and we're going to find our cobbler stretch now. We're going to bring the soles of the feet together and let your knees open out to the sides. Let's just hold here for a few breaths. Again, roll your chest and shoulders open, anchoring the back of your rib cage down into the floor. And while we're holding this cobbler stretch, we might as well do something with our hands and our arms. So interlace your fingers and turn your hands over, pressing your palms up towards the sky. Trying to keep your ribs down as you take those arms overhead towards the floor and keep pressing into those hands. Let's hold here for a few breaths. When you're ready, slowly bring your hands back up. Bring your fingers apart and give your fingers a wriggle. Circle at your wrist. Circle the other way. And then gently pulling each finger in turn back to stretch out those fingers. Once you've done all of the fingers, just give them a wriggle again and just gently release your arms down to wherever's comfortable for you. And we're going to start to move in this cobbler position. We're going to start to do the opening and closing of the legs here. So take a breath in here. And then as you exhale, start to bring the knees back up towards each other. And then inhale as you open out. So just go nice and slow with the flow of your breath. Knees close as you exhale, knees open as you inhale. So this is a really nice way to release tension through the inner thighs. We tend to have quite a lot of tension on our inner thighs. Let's do 2 more big breaths here. Good job. And then opening those knees out again, let's just hold in that cobbler position. And then we're going to see if we can take it into a little bit of a cobbler hold. So can you lift your feet away from the floor? So you're kind of in that, almost like a tabletop position, but your feet are together and your knees are wide. Can you reach through your knees to grab your ankles or your feet, or your knees if not? You can hold behind your knees, on top of your knees, and kind of find where you can hold. And just hold there for a couple of breaths. Just takes it a little bit deeper. You can feel it more maybe in your inner thighs, those hip flexors, those hip creases. Let's take a few breaths here. It might feel nice to just kind of gently rock side to side here. You can keep still if you prefer. Good. And then when you're ready, releasing your feet back down to the floor. We're going to lengthen those legs out long and reach your arms overhead and stretch from your fingertips to your toes. Make yourself as long as you can. Going into our crescent stretch, walk your feet to your right and your arms and upper body also to your right. So you're in that banana shape, that crescent shape. You can choose to stay there if that's enough, or cross your left ankle over your right. With your right hand, you can grab that left wrist and just give it a little extra stretch. Holding here, taking some deep breaths. Again, using the expansion of your rib cage to give even more length, even more stretch down that lengthened side. And this is one of those positions that again you could stay in for as long as you wanted.
one of my favourite, you know, when you're having like a bit of a slobbing out night and you're watching TV and you're watching films or whatever, I like to get down on the floor and just kind of cycle through some of my favourite little releases, little stretches, and just kind of stay in each one until I feel like I need to move. When you're ready, release your arms first. Walk your legs in through centre. Let's go over to the other side. So walking your legs to your left this time. Take your arms up and overhead again and walk your arms and upper body also to your left. Again, that might be enough. You can stay there if you want to, or cross your right ankle over your left. And with your left hand, grabbing your right wrist and just give it that little stretch. Taking some deep breaths there. And then when you're ready, releasing your arms again, walking your legs back in through centre. Moving slowly, just bending your knees one at a time. And then bring your knees into your chest. Give your knees a little hug and let's just rock gently side to side here. So we're going to go onto our side for our little crocodile movement next. So roll yourself onto your side. Knees bent and arms out in front. Now you can always grab yourself a cushion or your towel again or something if you want something under your head. I kind of like that little neck stretch. Okay, and then when you're ready, we're going to reach that top arm forward first. So let's reach it as far forwards as we can first. And then take it up towards the sky. Keeping your knees anchored down on the floor, but allow your upper body to twist away as you take that arm back behind you. Taking it as far as you can comfortably go, so make sure you can still breathe. And then hold. When you're ready, let's start to slowly bring that arm back up and over. And then we're going to go again on that same side. When you're ready, reach the arm forwards again first and then up to the sky. Twisting your upper body away, keeping your lower body anchored onto the floor. Find that maximum position again. And hold there, just a couple of breaths this time. And then when you're ready, slowly bring that arm back up and over. One more time. Reach your arm forwards first and then up. Twisting. Opening out. Just noticing now whether on this third twist you can maybe get a little bit further. And then when you're ready, start to slowly bring that arm back up and over. Close your crocodile. Rolling onto your back, just give your knees a little hug, a little roll, just to release your back. We're going to do exactly the same on the other side. So when you're ready, rolling onto your other side. And arms out in front, knees bent. And reach that top arm forwards first. And then take it up to the sky. Twisting your upper body away, opening out, finding that maximum position again, making sure you've not gone too far, no strain. Hold here. And then when you're ready, let's start to close that crocodile. through again. As soon as you're ready, reach the arm forwards first and then up. Open out, keeping the knees anchored, twisting your upper body away. Finding that position again, just hold for a couple of breaths this time. And when you're ready, closing that crocodile. Let's do one more time on this side. When you're ready, reach forwards and up. Finding that maximum position again, just noticing whether you can get further on this last twist. Maybe you could get further on this side to begin with. And then when you're ready, slowly close the crocodile. Good job. Rolling onto your back, let's just give our knees a little hug, just rolling out your back again here. One hand on the top of each knee, let's open the knees wide and do some little knee and hip circles here. Let's reverse that and go the other way. Nice. Ooh. Nearly dropped my knee. Okay, and then just release. So we're going to go over onto our hands and knees, and we're going to do our little puppy pose. So kind of find your way onto your hands and knees. And then I want you to reach your arms as far forwards as you can, and then lowering your head and your chest down towards the floor, but sticking your bum up in the air. So it's not kind of like a child's pose. We've got our bum stuck up in the air. Maybe your head will reach the floor. If it will, you can let it rest down. If not, it doesn't matter. But let's hold here for a couple of breaths. Reaching the arms forwards, releasing tension through the arms, through the shoulders, through the upper back. And then we're going to come down onto our elbows. So get your elbows down onto the floor. We're going to do a little thread the needle here. So we're going to take one hand, thread it behind your elbow and twist your upper body around, bringing your ear and your shoulder down to the floor. Now that supporting hand can stay where it is, or you can reach it forwards if you like. Again, giving yourself even more stretch through your shoulders and your upper back. Taking some deep breaths here as you just hold. Good job. When you're ready, bring that arm back in. We're going to go and do the same on the other side. So get your elbow back down. Twist on the other side. Thread the arm through. Twisting your body around. Bring your ear and your shoulder to the floor. You can always bolster if they don't quite reach. And either choosing to keep your supporting arm where it is or reaching it forwards. And again, holding here, taking some deep breaths. Good job. When you're ready, bring that hand back in. Bring that arm back in and make your way back to child's pose. Bottom back towards your heels, reaching those arms forwards and just sink down deeply here. So we're going to go back onto our front again. So I want us to see how that quad stretch feels again, because we've done quite a lot of hip opening stuff here. So come back down onto your front. And then again, bend in one knee and reach your hand back, see if you can grab your ankle. And just see whether it feels easier to get hold of your foot in the first place. Notice whether there's a big space under that hip or whether it feels a little bit closer to the floor maybe. Notice if you've had to take your knee out to the side or has it not had to move. Just any differences from when we did it earlier on. And I mean, you know, I don't have any gold stickers to give you or anything, but just notice how your body's feeling. We hold a lot of tension and tightness through the fronts of our hips just because we do sit most of the time, and that's just the way that it is, isn't it? You know, you can't really be stretching 24 hours a day. But your body just wants to release. It just wants to have a little bit of time, a little bit of stretch. Let's try the other side. When you're ready, releasing that leg. Bending the other leg. Reaching that hand back. Can you grab it on that side? How does it feel? Noticing again how close your pelvis is to the floor. Whether you have to take your knee out to the side. Just notice if it's easier or more comfortable. And if it's any different to when we did it earlier. Good. And then when you're ready, just releasing that leg long. Gently rock your hips side to side, just again a little bit of release for your lower back. And then we're going to push ourselves up and back again, finding that child's pose. Reaching your arms forwards. And then when you're ready, we're going to come up. So we're going to come up and do a little bit of seated stuff now. I'm going to have our legs wide. So I want you to try and find your sit bones here. So if you're really tight today and it's kind of making your pelvis tuck under, grab your half dome or your towel or something to sit on to just give you a little bit of space. If you're quite happy here, we've got those legs in that wide V position. We're going to find those sit bones and sit tall. And we're just kind of holding ourselves in this position. Our abdominals are having to work super hard to kind of keep us here. Our hip flexors might be kind of feeling a little bit grippy, so let's kind of move around a little bit, kind of exploring that movement, maybe shifting your body weight side to side a little bit. How about hinging forwards? Can you kind of close that space a little bit? So the more you lean back, obviously the more space there is between your torso and your thigh. If you hinge forwards, you're kind of closing that space. See how that feels. Maybe have a little wriggle around there, a little bit of movement. Let's try bringing those legs together. So legs out long and together. Can you push your heels away, pulling the front of the foot towards you, creating more length down the back of your legs? And can you sit tall there? Now that's really tricky to be able to sit tall there. So again, let's kind of just move around a little bit, shifting your body weight. Maybe a little twisting, just kind of moving around here. It takes a lot of strength to be able to sit tall. Again, can you hinge forwards a little bit? You can rest your hands on your legs or the floor if you want to. Maybe move around a little bit. Again, all real good stretches. How about if we do our cobbler then? So let's bring the soles of the feet together. Knees out to the side. How does that feel? How about if you again shift side to side? I feel more comfortable in this shape than I do with my legs out wide all together. My hips prefer to be in this kind of opened position. And it's just, again, it's down to your body, your body geometry. Let's go with body geometry, that's a good one, isn't it? Just some people's hip joints are more forward, some people's are more to the side, some people have wider pelvises, some people have more narrow. Everybody's different, we're not exactly the same, our skeletons are not exactly the same. It's interesting to kind of know how your body feels, twisting, moving around, just kind of playing with those hip creases. Let's do those 90-90 legs then. So let's have one leg going forwards and one leg going back. And then lean back onto your hands. That's giving more space for your hips, isn't it? So if you're leaning back, these hip creases are a little bit more open. And then onto the soles of your feet and let your knees roll to the other side. So let's do that a couple of times. Again, really nice for those hip joints. And I like the hands down. It's a little bit more lazy. It's a little bit easier, isn't it? It's a little bit more like, but you can take your hands off the floor and make it a little bit more active where you're having again to use your abdominals to kind of hold you up. There's less space now for those hips, so we're getting deeper into the hips. As you go to one side this time, pause there. Whichever way your feet are going, we're going to reach away. Let your back hand come down and reach that arm. Imagine that you're kind of spiraling your body away. How far can you reach? Let's do the other side. Come up. Let your feet go to the other side, and again, spiral, reach away. Again. We'll do that a few times to each side. How about this time as you reach, letting that hand come down to the floor and then letting your upper body come down towards the floor. And then just hold in there for a couple of breaths. And then do that on the other side, so coming up. Letting your legs go to the other side, reach. And then again, letting your hand come down to the floor and lowering your body down to the floor. And hold there for a couple of breaths. And then when you're ready, coming up. Okay, so we're going to do our psoas release to kind of finish off with. So grab your bolsters or your cushions again, whatever you've got. And again, you might want to have a huge stack of cushions and pillows and whatever you've got. I'm going to go with my bolster and maybe my towel. So the idea with this is that we have the back of our shoulder blades just on the edge of your cushions or your bolsters so that your ribs can drop down. So you know how we did with the pelvis, we had a bit of it propped up and the rest of it was dropping down. Same thing here. So it takes a little bit of shuffling sometimes to get in position. So shoulder blades are supported, shoulder blades are just on, head is supported, which is why sometimes you want a little bit of something extra under your head. And then let your legs lengthen out long. And they can go wide if they want to. They can kind of roll out to the sides if that feels nice to you. And then you're allowing your ribs to just sink down, melt down. So you might be able to see that my upper back is supported with the bolster. My pelvis is supported with the floor. And between those 2 points, my back is a little bit like a hammock. Yeah, there's nothing supporting here, and that's allowing my body to relax, to release that psoas, that lower back, and allow it to sink down towards the floor. And all you need to do is stay here and breathe. This is another really good slobbing out, watching TV releases. And again, you could bolster yourself up as high as you needed. You could, you want to be comfortable. You don't want to be gripping and holding your body, so make yourself as comfortable as you can. And imagine that you're sinking down. Think about that hammock of your back. It's a good time to scan through your body and check if you're holding tension anywhere. Checking all the usual hot spots. You know where your tension tends to hide. Mine's usually in my jaw. So I always like to check that I'm not clenching my teeth and that my jaw's relaxed. Some people it's their neck and their shoulders. Some people it's their glutes, they're kind of squeezing the bum and their thighs all the time. Everything's kind of held really rigid. So just do a little scan, looking for where you hold and seeing if you can just relax. Your body is fully supported here, it doesn't need to work to hold itself here at all. Just focus on your breath. So the longer you stay in that psoas release position, the better. 10 minutes is like, 10 minutes is pretty good. If you could do 10 minutes a day, you would notice real big changes in your body. Just remembering to do it, isn't it? Taking that time. We're just going to hold for just another minute or two here. And you can choose, you can stay here for as long as you want to. Don't feel that you have to come up and out of it now. If you want to stay there, then stay there. But when you are ready, when you have finished, I want you to see how it feels after you've done this psoas release. And the way that we kind of feel is to move everything away and then just lie down flat on the floor and just see how your body feels on the floor. Noticing whether the back of your rib cage kind of feels more in contact with the floor than normal. Maybe even your lower back feels like it's kind of sinking into the floor a little bit more. It would be really useful to maybe test first to lie down on the floor, maybe at the start, and then do your psoas release and then try it again afterwards. You kind of know how your body feels when you lie on the floor normally. So again, feel free to stay in that psoas release if you want to, but when you're ready, just bring your knees into your chest, give your knees a little hug, just to kind of release any tension through your back, although there shouldn't be any, but just in case. And then when you do come up to seated, you just want to move slowly, you just want to roll your shoulders, roll your head around, and just kind of give your body a moment, gentle, you know, you don't want to kind of jump up and go and do anything energetic. You just want to let your body just, you know, we're looking after ourselves and nurturing ourselves.